Hello and greetings. This is a special edition of the series on T20 Cricket World Cup 2021. We are recording this just after the India-New Zealand game in Group 2. It was a must-win game for both the teams, given the situation that they were in at the bottom of the points table, both having lost a game each. It was a must-game win for both of them. And yet, of the two teams between India and New Zealand, only one team came in with the intent to win, and that team was not India. New Zealand won the game comprehensively. The media all over the world is justifiably erupted into an absolute furor, absolute frenzy, this state of disbelief. How could this have happened? How can the how is it even possible for the pre-tournament favorite to succumb like this, to go down without even putting up a fight? First, they lost to Pakistan by 10 wickets. And then in today's game against New Zealand, they put up absolutely no obstacle, no barriers, and New Zealand won the game with absolutely no pressure on them at all. Indian batting lineup, which is known for its depth, showed absolutely no class today. It's a very crude analysis, but yeah, this was a rough game. This was a rough game. It was a rough day for Team India. Clearly, postmortem needs to happen. Self-assessment needs to happen. Soul searching needs to happen. They need to figure out what happened, how to pick up the pieces again. An honest assessment is seriously needed. But the reason why we're putting together this video is, if India is able to regroup, if they are able to get the deck together, figure out what's needed, make the corrective measures, they have proven in their history time and time again that they know how to pick themselves up from the ashes. They know how to get back into the mode of things. They know how to reach the top. They know how to set the world on fire. They know how to do that. They're qualified to do that. They have the mental discipline to do that. So with that, let's go ahead and try to look at some scenarios that'll make it possible. Clearly, they are in no position where they control their own destiny. They have to rely upon some other scenarios to happen, some other teams to lose, and some other teams to win. So let's go ahead and take a look at these scenarios. If you want to play along, please go ahead and download the spreadsheet. We're providing a link below. You can go ahead and come up with your own scenarios and figure out for yourself how it could possibly happen. Okay, so there's one scenario where India clearly has to win all the remaining 3 matches. They've got 3 matches remaining: Afghanistan, Scotland, and Namibia. They have to win all 3. So let's go ahead and use the drop-down menu over here and give India all 3 of these matches: against Afghanistan, against Scotland, and against Namibia. Let's give them these 3 games. Okay. The other, in this scenario, the other thing that needs to happen is that Namibia and Scotland must lose all their remaining matches. So let's go ahead and find out wherever Namibia is playing a game. Let's make sure that they lose Namibia and Scotland. So this game goes to New Zealand. New Zealand versus Namibia is won by New Zealand. And Pakistan versus Scotland is won by Pakistan. Okay, so if this happens, then so far we have not predicted what happens in New Zealand versus Afghanistan. Let's hold off on that, and let's figure out what the points table looks like without that game. So if this is to happen, then Pakistan is clearly on top of the leaderboard, having won all 5 of their games with 10 points. So India now has to contest for the second slot. So without taking into account the New Zealand versus Afghanistan game, New Zealand would be at 6 points, India would be at 6 points, and Afghanistan would be at 4 points. Now, clearly, India's current net run rate is a negative 1.6, but if they win these 3 games and if they win them comprehensively by big margins, then this could potentially go into a +2 or +3 even range. India really has the capacity to be able to make that kind of a swing. So if that's what happens, then India could potentially be ahead of New Zealand in the net run rate. Remember, they're fighting for the second position in this in this group in the group's points table. So in this scenario, if New Zealand wins against Afghanistan, then it's game over. India can no longer qualify. If New Zealand wins, they go to 8 points and India is out of the picture. But if Afghanistan prevails in this game, if Afghanistan beats New Zealand, then all three teams are tied with the same number of points. Now, Afghanistan has got a huge edge right now in terms of the net run rate. But remember, in this scenario that we are just coming up with, Afghanistan is going to lose to India and New Zealand. So assuming that they lose by big margins, they could this net run rate could potentially come down, and India could theoretically get ahead of Afghanistan. So in this scenario one that we're talking about, Pakistan is on top of the leaderboard, and India is fighting for the second position, and they want to be ahead of New Zealand and Afghanistan. So this is one possibility. Let's look at the second possibility. The second scenario, India, of course, has to win all the remaining matches. So let's reset all the other games that we just, in fact, let's go ahead and reset all these games. And then we'll award those games to India. We'll give India versus Scotland to India and India versus Namibia. So India wins all three of the remaining matches. And this is something that pains me to even propose this, but hey, we're talking about the theoretical possibilities. Let's go ahead and play with it. In this scenario, Pakistan needs to lose both the remaining matches. So let's get Pakistan losing to Namibia. Ouch, that hurts. And let's have Pakistan losing to Scotland. Yeah, ouch, that hurts as well. So in this scenario, what India is now going towards is they need to uproot Pakistan from the top of the leaderboard, and they need to get whether they need to somehow have no team reach 8 points, and somehow between the 4 teams try to be in the top 2 in the net run rate. So in this scenario, which games have we not? Is there any other? Let's go ahead and take a look at New Zealand versus Scotland. What needs to happen here? So if New Zealand wins this game, and if New Zealand beats, let's think about it. If New Zealand beats Namibia, so again we are down to the last game, Afghanistan versus New Zealand, that we have not yet accounted for. So what's the situation right now? Yes, this is exactly what they need. So without looking at Afghanistan versus New Zealand game, look at the points table right now. There are three teams with New Zealand with six points apiece: India, Pakistan, and Namibia. And the winner of Afghanistan-New Zealand game will become the 4th team with 6 points. So these 4 teams would be tied at 6 points apiece, and then the 2 teams with the top 2 run rates, the top 2 teams with the best run rate will make it to the next round. So these are the 2 possible scenarios. We will figure out in the next 2 days. On Tuesday, Pakistan plays against Namibia. So if Pakistan is to win that game, then this option we could just cross out scenario 2. It will not happen. So this option can just go away. And then this would be the only option that India would be left with, for India to win all the remaining 3 matches. And then for Namibia and Scotland to lose all their matches. And then it boils down to India to Afghanistan versus New Zealand. And in this scenario, Afghanistan has to beat New Zealand. Let's figure out, let's see how things pan out. Let's see what the next few days bring to us. India's next game is against Afghanistan. Let's see if India is able to regroup, pick up the pieces, and come back with strength. The game is on Wednesday. All eyes are on this game, and let's see how things turn out. Thanks for staying with us, and we'll be back tomorrow with some more updates on the next games. Thank you.